My name is Emily Elliott, and I'm here with East Lansing Info. I've been a reporter covering school board for about the last 6 months. And with me today I have Dr. Jane Turner, local pediatrician and former school board trustee. And we're interviewing Mr. Joshua Barber, one of the candidates for the school board. So, our first question for you, or Josh, is if you were elected to the school board, you'll have to deal with a major public health crisis. Talk about how you see yourself handling this as a board member in terms of decision making.
When I first signed on to run for the school board, this wasn't really my primary focus. It didn't come to my mind. My biggest concern was what could I do to help my son and my community and everybody else that's facing this new challenge. But my as things changed and the school went to completely online learning, my focus changed. I know the consensus with the board and the community is in favor of completely online learning, but the way I see it, and I know there's other families out there that see it too. I feel that we need to have more options to get us back into the classroom safely. Now, if you were to ask me exactly how that's done, just from my own perspective, I don't know if I could give you that exact plan just myself. I would need to work with people that are experts in that area, and I know some of the experts say, hey, it's not safe to go at all. But I know that there's schools out there that have options and hybrid learning options for children, and for me, I I have a 5-year-old son that was going to start kindergarten this year, and he had to start with the online. But what ended up happening is we had to use a daycare and actually pay to have him in a transitional class. So I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but it's kind of I just want to give the idea where a lot of my responses are going to be geared towards. But he goes to a class with other kids in person, and they follow safety protocols. They wear masks. They socially distance. They get to go outside and play. They get to have social interaction. They get to have um, each other. And it's when he gets out of there, and I get out of work, and my wife gets done working, he goes online and finishes up assignments. And it's that I gotta say that the teachers and the principal that I work with are doing an amazing job. But um, as a board member, what I would and this is going to be further down the road, even if I was elected. But if I was able to be on that board, my goal would be to get us in school or keep us in school, if that's the case. If we're come to the turn of the year, we're back there, and lately I've been I go to all the board meetings, and this last one especially, I was really optimistic, and I still am hearing Superintendent Lakos talking about the prospects of getting us back in and getting the survey out to everybody. And I know these are just the first steps, but I would lead us back to school. I'd like to keep us there, and I'd like to find what works best for other schools that are already doing it, and I would work with those that have the knowledge and the background
Okay. Well,
in that. I'm sorry. You can go with your next question, or
yeah, let's go on.
so
I mean, I think that's important to hear about um, your orientation on the health issues. I want to switch themes a little bit to talk about equity and inclusion. The district has identified equity and inclusion as an important goal and has pursued this by developing a new handbook of policies and making plans to make the faculty better represent the diversity of the student body. Talk about how you see this issue. What are your thoughts?
you know I I've, I've always believed in inclusion. My thoughts on this are, As far as the makeup of the board, I know it's not as diverse as it probably could be, and maybe I don't fit that bill, or maybe I'm not the person that should be the one speaking on that exactly. But I'm the type of person that I'm willing to listen to what everybody has to say. I'm willing to understand that um, cultural diversity in this community is one of the strongest assets that we have. Myself, my family, my wife is Korean, and we have a son together. And I want, I don't know how I should say this, but I want my son to be represented. I want my son to be comfortable in an environment where everybody's included, everybody's thoughts and opinions matter, regardless of your background. But I think that there needs to be better representation there. As far as the handbook and the rules, I excuse me, I haven't actually had a chance to read this or see exactly what those are, but
Great. Our next question for you is, how do you understand the role of a trustee in relationship to the district administration? What do you see as your chief responsibilities in this area?
in my I feel like the chief responsibility of the board in general is, I mean, first of all, I think it's one of the, if not possibly the most important elected position in this community. I think we are in charge of the final say on the well being and the future of the children that live here. I mean, in this community. I I gotta be honest, this is really new to me. I've never been to a board meeting or anything before this school year, and it was kind of late in the game when I decided to run. I thought, what can I do to help? And I've never been a politically driven person, but from my understanding, even from watching these meetings, it's a lot about the investment in our children's future and the relationship with the administrators. Or I mean, I just think it's like it should be the final say. It should be the seven board members are the ones that hold us to a standard that should be the highest standard. It should be the standard we put forward. But so far, I haven't met a lot of people, but the people that I've met through the meeting, it seems like they work very well together with the superintendent, and there seems to be a lot of planning involved up to this point. But I'm really excited to see what action comes from that planning at this point. But as far as the position goes, like I said, I think it's really about holding the standard for the high level of excellence that we expect for our children in this community.
So along those lines, the next question is about kind of preparing, getting up to speed. So as a trustee, you'll have to learn very quickly a new set of laws, policies, and protocols. How will you approach bringing yourself up to speed?
Bringing myself up to speed. I mean, I try to I keep current with what's going on today, and just basically by reading and being involved. I mean, I know a lot of what I'm trying to be involved in again is getting kids back into school, and I know that this is much more complicated than just that. In fact, when I first got into this, I'll never say something like, I'm. Am I in over my head? Is what someone would say. Looking or measuring myself up against other candidates, but I'm not the type of person that looks at other people and say, "Well, I can't do this," because I've done many things in my life that I've would have surprised a lot of people. But I'm just saying, as far as like how would I keep up, I'm going to have to educate myself. I'm going to have to listen to everybody else. I'm going to have to seek help from those that have done it before me, and I'm definitely going to have to. I need to be engaged and listen to the parents that children go to the school district. I mean, that's how I would be involved and keep myself up to speed.
Well, I remember from my time being on the board, and that was quite a few years ago. I joined the board in 2004. The Michigan Association of School Boards offered um, classes, offered trainings. Would that be of interest to you?
Yeah, I mean that would be awesome. In fact, I reached out to my school's local parent-teacher organization, and I saw that they had an opportunity to be the secretary position was open, and I thought, this would be a good opportunity, maybe on a smaller scale, to get more experience along the way. And I mean, who knows what the outcome of this election is, but it still gives me a platform to be involved, and learn. I mean, I've never been in the political forum or the ring before, and this has been a really exciting opportunity. And today being the first time to actually speak about it, and not have it written down or filling out an email or something. But I'd like to know more about that actually, Jane or Dr. Turner or Jane. I'm sorry.
First name, we're on first name basis here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Our next question for you is what programs at East Lansing Public Schools, educational or otherwise, would you like to see the district devote more resources to, and how might you make that happen?
I had this question. I answered in another publication, but it was along the lines of if the if we needed more money and how would we get it and where would it come from. And at first this is taking a step back from the question, but I would make sure that the funds that we had were going, being used in the best way possible. Me personally, I what I as far as class wise goes, it's hard for me to really see it from the perspective doing the online learning with my son. I think that is if I was going to say technology, I mean because of the at-home learning, do we have the technology that we need to make this work now? I think it's so short term that it could be wasted by dumping a lot of money into more equipment to do the online learning if we shift gears and get back into person. So my thought was perhaps we should invest any type of extra money that we have now to get, um, I would say, to be on standby for when we get in person to invest in new materials, um, as far as math or books, any type of reading materials, books for kids in first grade, especially. Um, I'm just kind of rambling now, but I'm just saying it's so hard right now to decide where funds should be going, whether it's more to the in-person side or to the virtual side. And I think I would kind of wait to see where things are going first before we made that decision.
Okay. We have one more question and probably about a minute or two. Is that right?
2.5.
2.5. Okay, so we have a little time. Um, this is about working with parents. So how would you like to engage with parents, including those who are uninformed or who may be informed but disagree with you?
Um, as far as how I would like to work with them, I just like to tell the parents out there, as a candidate, I don't have the background in education or the experience in politics. I'm a concerned father that wants to engage with family or parents that are concerned that their children are not getting the full education that they need right now or something that works for their family. I'd let them know that I'm completely for options, and I feel that for the families out there that believe that online learning is the way we need to go during the pandemic, I totally support them. I can completely understand that. But I'm from the side too that thinks that there's just a lack of options right now. And even though things have changed for me, that I see some optimism in having some of those options. I think there needs to still be a voice and a presence that makes sure that we are down that road because right now, um, I just when this first happened, it just seems like this is so. There's just it's very open ended on the virtual learning, and I'd like to let the parents know that I'd like to get us in a direction where we're back to. Um, I hate to use the term normalcy because I know there's this whole concept of the new normal, but that quote new normal can look very much perhaps like it used to be if we really try and follow some basic safety procedures and do it right by listening to the right people and getting our kids back into school where they need to be. um, I'm just like everybody else, just somebody that I like to have a little bit of optimism, and this is a really tough, depressing time for a lot of people. But I mean, we can get back there. I really believe that, and I think we need our leaders to at least embrace the idea that we really need to get back to where our kids are together in the same classrooms and not online at home where we don't really have we just don't have a level playing field that way. But that's my opinion. That's how I would handle it.
Well, that was perfect timing because we just hit 15 minutes. Well, thank you for your time this morning, Josh. We appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Good to talk to you.
You know,